Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. Over me. Yeah. And before I be a slave,
Gospel is based on evangelic music, was created in the United States and made in Pentecostal African-American Evangelical Protestant churches. Became popular in the year 1913. This music was principally sung by choirs. The choirs can have maximum 13 persons. Gospel is gospel, word of God, comes from the tradition black spiritual. It's music based on the African slave supper. There was and there are a separation between black and white people in the United States. The song had secret codes to help the slaves to escape, and this music have lots of upbeat and some of percussion because with these songs the people get excited.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
At the end of the 19th century, jazz was created in the United States. Black people created this style because we were confronted with the European music. This style came from the Afroamerican culture. Jazz is a family of musical genres with common features. This style has social functions and needs an attentive public. In 1920, several parts of the world were included in that style, but the Afroamericans were the most innovators and the most notable representatives in black music. Instrumentation, melody and harmony is an Occidental tradition, but it merged in that style. Some of the principal instruments are the cornet, saxophone, piano and the double bass. And the most important black singers are Aretha Franklin, Nina Simone, Ella Fitzgerald and Nat King Cole.
Blues is a genre of music that was and continues being one of the most popular. It originated at the end of the 19th century. This style is musical and instrumental. It has a melancholic air in which sadness is normally expressed. It's characterized by the use of the guitar and the harmonica, and it's the combination of African music. You can find it in places like Chicago, New Orleans, etc. The most important artists were B.B. King and Steve Ray, and a famous song is The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King. Next, we have rhythm and blues. It's a genre that was created when African Americans who were professionals in blues that worked in bands and bars thought that it was old-fashioned, so they decided to create rhythm and blues in 1940 in the US. This style is lively, urban, and with a heavy rhythm, and sometimes it's confused with trap since it also has electronic sounds today. In this style, we can find artists like Beyoncé and Chuck Berry. The famous song is Come On by Chuck Berry. Last style is soul. This genre is African American. It's a combination of gospel and rhythm and blues. It was created in the USA in 1950 and it's slower and deeper music than others. It has soloists or choirs and it's characterized by the use of clapping and body movement. Here we have artists like James Brown or Marvin Gaye. And one song that is very popular is Respect by Aretha Franklin.
Stay on the scene like a sex machine. You got to have the feeling. Sure as you're born. Get it together. Right on, right on. Get up, get on up. Get up, get on up. Get up, get on up.
Hip-hop and rap are two cultural movements that were born on the south of the United States and that became popular around the 70s and 80s when we talk about hip-hop, and around the 90s and 2000s when we talk about rap. The history of hip-hop sees it beginning in Brooklyn and in the neighborhood of the Bronx in New York. These areas were quite poor. Some people was poor because of their families, others lost their fortunes, etc. Unfortunately, when dealing with a city like New York, its leaders only thought on expanding the city and having the best luxuries, with which instead of helping the inhabitants of this neighborhood, they burned their houses to build casinos, huge buildings, shops. An example of a hip-hop song is Delight from the Sugar Hill Gang in 1979. At the beginning of the 19th, rap was born. Rap is a poetic variation of hip-hop, and unlike that style, this was born out of protest and to avoid street fights with guns or other types of weapons. An example of a rap song is Do Whoop from Lauryn Hill in 1998. The so-called block parties were held street parties which gave the initial shape of hip-hop culture. At the block parties, there were four essential figures that would become the basic pillars of hip-hop culture. The DJ, that was the person who created the musical base. At the history of hip-hop, we have a lot of examples of DJs, but the most important was Afrika Bambaataa, who is known from bringing hip-hop culture to an element of social union because of his famous phrase, "Hip-hop means peace, love, unity, and having fun." B-boys and B-girls were the dancers. Dancing was an essential part of hip-hop, and as a result of him, breakdance was born later. MC or master of ceremonies, vocal part like the host of a show. And graffitis, that was the most popular street graphic representation.
Same predicament that is sit inside your head like a million women in Philly pen. It's silly when girls sell their souls because it's sin. Look at where you be in, hair weaves like European.